Cam Ops have a bit of work to do in the morning. Up nice and early, get all the checks out of the way, and make sure we're ready to go live. Helping others fall in love with nature brings meaning to what I do. It's also a lot of fun.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone. What a fantastic start to a gloomy, windy, blustery winter's day. Nothing is going to make your heart warm like elephants. We've had the whole herd walk past us, so I'm not entirely sure how long they're going to stay with us, but that doesn't matter. At least here in Djuma Private, they're tussling. Oh, boys be boys. What a great start, everyone. We're going to be coming to you live from many different locations today, not just this one. So get ready. It's that time of day for your live bumble through the African wild. Good morning, you. Yes. You boys are just being naughty. Welcome aboard, everyone. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Oh, I love mornings like this when it starts with a bang. You'll see me later, so don't worry about seeing me now. Let's just watch these boys. I'm sure you can tell by the voice that my name is Lauren. I do have the wonderful BK on camera. Listen. You can hear their tussle. maybe you can over the wind, actually. The wind is still quite strong, but their tusks are clanging. Wowza, now you can see me and now you can see BK's thumb. There we go. And we do have some elephants here. It's not the best view, but I just need to be careful about turning my engine on. Hold on. It's windy. Elephants don't like wind. They really don't. So you have to be careful that you don't aggravate an already tense situation. That's just one. Oh no, there's a few. It's not going to be the best views, but anyway. It's of course live, nothing is staged here, so you never know how it's going to go. We're also interactive, everyone, so please do talk to us. Send in your interesting questions, make them as interesting as possible. I got asked the other day, out of all the animals here, who would you like to sit down at dinner with and have a conversation where you can both understand? And wow, that question blew my mind. So get creative, everyone, and you can send them in using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Or if you prefer the YouTube chat, you can just tag @FC. Or if you don't like either of those options, you can head over to the WildEarth website. And as long as you've registered, you can submit your questions under the live Safari page. It's cold and blustery, so send in your comments too. Oh, that'll be that tree. Your comments and questions keep us going on days like this. Yesterday I didn't see one single heartbeat. It definitely doesn't rank up there with my favourite drive, but today we've already started with a bang. And kids, if you're watching, please do talk to us. You are incredibly important to us. Especially on Saturday. We always try to do Saturday Catterday, but really that does depend on the cats. And you send in your questions via email, and the email address is kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. And if any of you missed a sunset drive yesterday, Kuchava was found with a cub. Only one was spotted. And it's tiny, it's adorable. I saw some photos, and naturally that is Tandy's grandchild. So Tandy's lineage is going strong, which even means Tandy's mum is Karula. So one of the sort of main lineages we have here in terms of the females. Not gene pools. Gene pools is something different, but the lineages, Karula's is running strong. She's on Nkodo, I'm afraid, so there's not much chance we'll get to see her at this stage, but if she moves, we can. I'm going to try and stay with these elephants, but the herd is pretty mobile, to be honest. And as I sit and watch them on this overcast morning, let's take a look at the weather across all our locations.
Good morning everybody. Welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve this morning. So it's pretty cloudy still and very much still cold, but the wind settled down. My name is Andrew this morning and I have Davi on camera. So we actually searching around just to keep up on what has been last night, since it was actually very much quiet for us, for everybody. And then I'm so glad that Lauren should begin with elephants that side, which is, it's really cool that to begin with. So we're going to carry on and search for the cats specifically, because they maybe been up about and move around. Those has to activate their scent. It's a good point for them to do that because of it's not much of a spitting, but that could be sometimes affect their scent marking, especially that drizzling over the rain. So most cats, they would be definitely gonna do a lot of those. So James, you were saying you're hoping that the wild dog, they would make an appearance this morning. That's what I also hope, because I was so actually looking forward so much yesterday morning when we found the tracks and we just couldn't find them. And then later on we found out they have actually moved across too far away to the east. So unless if maybe they would come back this area, of course that will be so cool to spend time with the dogs. In this weather like this, they would actually do a lot of activity around. Run around, hunt about, chase for us. So we're just gonna see how the bush would offer us. So I know it was probably a track of probably duck mane that he has came into Djuma, and then the other guides are busy following on his track back there. So from Gari Dam, it looks like he lead it to the north on the eastern side. We're also going to go into the area also to assist as much as we can. He may have actually walked far. Yesterday he was seen up in the west, and then in one of the property, Aratusa, and then this is how he make his way back into the area. But only depend how far he's gone. If he has gone out of the property again by one night, which he could do that if he was pushing too much on the move. So it's just a cloudy and cold is still carry on, but it's a less wind, which is maybe a good result in getting more of the animal still about moving around. I'm checking the Mvubu Road, possibly for Duckman, because his tracks came this way. The guys, they're all assisting from the other side. And I'm also gonna check this area because we're not sure how far he's gone. And then he came in last night again back to Djuma from Aratusa. So it happens maybe he's still around or he moved across in one night. to maybe Beverly where he could do that if he is in need for finding the pride, the Talamati pride. Cool for sure. The colder is still around, it's still going, but there's no wind, which is, I think, we still trust that we can find the animal. So I'm gonna carry on along this road. In the meantime, let's go across to Nikki to say hello to everybody.
Good morning to all our viewers. We're currently here at Ambion Ngala, and you can see we are exploring the river. There was some tracks this morning of lions coming down into this area. We're not too sure which lions they are, so we want to try and see if we can find them, and of course whatever we can find along the way. I'm Nikki, I'm going to be your ranger this morning, and on camera we have Morgan. So one of the other rangers have gone off just left of where we are now. There's another road, and they said that they saw lion tracks going north and south of the roads, in other words to the right and to the left, and we're not too sure where they've gone because they might have been hunting, so eventually they'll join up again and move together. So you'll see our nest just now and again. I'll actually keep my eye close to on the side here just to see if there's any signs of these lions. There's a beautiful Nyala bull here. Like, we don't often see them in the open. I mean, at Phinda they are a little bit more common than here, but I just want to try and position the vehicle so we can see this Nyala. It's actually under this beautiful tree called the Natal mahogany. I do love the coat of a Nyala, but have a look at what he's feeding. Does it look like he's licking up? So early on, before he actually fed off some of the smaller leaves of those trees, he was actually lapping up quite a few of the dead leaves around here. So you'll see after the wind there's a lot of leaves on the ground, and that's probably what he's after. I must say I really enjoy the colors of a Nyala. See, like around the eyes you have those two prominent lines called the chevron markings. You'll see at the very tip of the horns there's this white. The back has this white rim all the way towards the base of the tail, and then that white white spots as you go down to those orangey colored legs. See the bird that's hovering just right next to this Nyala, and actually just dropped onto the ground. So it's a fork-tailed drongo. So what it's doing is just waiting for this Nyala to move, and as it's moving and maybe disturbing some of that leaf matter, there might be some insects. And this drongo is keen for a breakfast, so just going down, grabbing the insect, and then we'll go back up into the tree. It just moved off. But have a look at this beautiful Natal mahogany tree. You can see there's a bit of a browse line. So a browse line is as far as some of these Nyala and Kuru can reach. Darren, if I understood the question correctly, you're asking if a fight could be deadly. No, Nyala bulls in general, if they do fight with one another, it could be very deadly because of like how sharp the horns are. However, they have a certain fighting behavior called a fighting display, where they will walk right close to each other and they'll puff themselves. So see that white on top of the back? They'll puff that up, they'll curl up the tail, and they actually walk very slowly around the other male. And hopefully by this, the other male will be intimidated and then move off. If not, and let's say there's no loser in this battle, then they can go into a full-on fight, and that could be quite lethal for them. But most of the time with that fighting display is where they'll size each other up and they'll say, okay, you're bigger than I don't want to fight you, and then they move off. It's interesting though, like if you look at this nyala, it's not just feeding off leaves, but also off grass. Now, I remember as I started getting into conservation, I was reading up a lot about the nyala, and they said the nyalas, of course, are browsers. So browser is an animal that eats leaves, and I've noticed that even in some areas they did a study and found that nyalas also eat grass, which is very interesting because the majority of the time would be leaves, of course, but there is also a change where there's not enough leaves that they actually will feed off the grass and get some of their nutrients from that. And often with nyala, like similar to kudu, they often occur in denser areas versus impalas that would be more in the open. Michelle, I can believe this is your favorite antelope. Just the whole, like if you just look at the coat and the color of the legs, the white, how it contrasts with the black, it's a really beautiful antelope. And also look at the side of the body. You'll notice there's these white lines, these white vertical lines along the body. Now, if you look at if you look at the trees in the back, you'll notice there's these white stems and white branches. I can just imagine how if this nyala had to move into the shade, like that black, with some of the branches very similar looking to that white, and just freezes without moving, it will blend in extremely well to this environment, like those lines we saw last night in the grass. I just want to have a look on this one's horns if there is any bit of mud on it. I thought I could see a bit of mud, but I just want to have a closer look.
It's been a very chilly winter here in the southern hemisphere, but now it's starting to heat up. The sun is rising a little earlier, which means, of course, the animals are too. From the 17th of August, the Wild Earth team will be venturing out as the dawn chorus begins, as the sunrise safari will be starting half an hour earlier. Lock those times into your diary and set those alarms to make sure you don't miss out on your safari through the African bush.
Here at the Advanced Rifle Handling Challenge, which is actually lots of challenges in one to gauge the contestants' skills at different distances and different speeds. This is probably the challenge that the contestants are the most nervous about. So let's get them locked and loaded. Competitors are now doing the Haley's Halt, where they have to run back and forth to a target, turn, take aim, and shoot. And this simulates a chase in a real environment and gets the heart pumping and the blood pressure up. James gave us a demonstration, and the skill involved in this exercise is remarkable.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
The bushwalk feed allows the camera person some creative license. This is my favorite style of shooting. You have to be mentally and physically prepared. You're shooting handheld in some very strange and contorted positions, always with a straight back, often in the squat position, low to the ground. The creativity comes down to the relationship and sync you have with your presenter. The more you understand each other, the more you'll be able to tell the story seamlessly.
A much less windy, but still windy, morning here in the Lowveld. Cloudy and cool and dry. We are on a mission to try and find some giraffes, which we actually have already found. Hi everyone, my name is Mike Anderson. Behind the camera is Gert, and this is Ecotraining's Pridelands Conservancy, where we are looking at that animal over there. It has been feeding along this road, and we were trying to get closer. With this wind, though, I think that the giraffe is a little bit nervous. It doesn't want to allow us to get closer. Oftentimes, when it's not windy at all, we can walk straight down the road and the giraffe's 10 meters away, and it kind of just stares at us with this confused look. But today, they're on the move. Oh, there's one actually quite close to us, just over there. Well, not close, but much closer. It's hiding from us, you see. It's got its head behind a stick, and therefore, it's completely invisible. I just see an ear. So this is a small group of giraffes. They look like all females, although I can't tell this one. But it's not a herd of giraffes. They're not staying together forever. They're just simply walking through here because I suppose they do like the company of others occasionally, probably. And there's good food around here because the water hole is not so far. So they're probably not going to move too far from the water because they drink almost every single day. Now it's really out in the open looking at us. Oh, Maggie, actually, I've never noticed it, but giraffe's fur is very, very short. And to be honest, they're very big animals. I don't think that they get as cold as an impala does as quickly. Maybe over the last few days it's gotten quite cold for them. But no, I don't think I've ever noticed them puffing up their body. Certainly haven't noticed them getting darker. I think it's difficult because giraffes come in a whole variety of different shades of this orangey brown. Some are almost sable black, and some are so pale you could almost say it looks leucistic or albino. So it's difficult to know if it's got its fur up or not. Impalas are all basically the same color. So it's very noticeable when one is darker than the other. But maybe it's something I'll look out for. I'll try and see if I can identify a single giraffe through one of its features, like if it's got a funny shaped horn or something. And then I'll keep an eye on it if it gets a darker shade. But good question, Maggie. I like that. Keep your questions coming. I love it. Well, we're going to keep following these giraffes and see kind of what they get up to. Maybe that'll be our goal for the morning, just to follow these giraffes and basically put ourselves in their hoofs. In the meantime, we'll send you back over to Andrew, who's still on a bumble.
Good luck, Mike. So we indeed searching for cats. And then I follow up on a duck mane. So eventually he crossed out of the Djuma into the north. And then, yeah, he's gone out of the Djuma already. For now, we know that. So I have give up there. So I'm gonna try for some other different cats, maybe leopards. It's not actually very difficult to see their tracks since it was a little bit of a drizzling last night. That make it a lot easier to see the tracks from middle of the night, and the soil is going to be much disturbed, and then these tracks will be so visible for us to see who it is and then how long animals have walked past into that area. Well, Duckman is in need for sure to keep up with his pride. Maybe all you worry about is that what are they doing? Maybe another male have stolen them, or maybe they on a kill. So he's desperately really trying to find them. He may come back. Maybe by one day, you never know. The guy's actually still with the track, see how far it goes up north. Terry, so you're commenting saying the Duckman is your favorite lion. He is actually a gorgeous male lion, but looking at his mane, dark, and then he's just magnificent looking male for sure. So you don't really go wrong when you say that. So, you know, we may find him because, you know, weather like these, cats, they would do sometimes exercise their strategies, get to move around about, they have a lot of energies. By that, you may maybe found out to come back to Djoom again, where we can maybe bump on him. So I'm gonna carry on checking towards the south. In the meantime, I'm gonna be sending you across to Nicky, who he find himself some herbivores.
Andrew, best of luck. Hope you find some cats for us this morning. We're very lucky. Like, as we got out of the river, we saw this herd of elephants crossing in front of us. Now, this is the one that hasn't crossed yet, so we're just going to watch this one for a little while and then see if it's going to join up with the herd. But it's not a big herd. You can imagine with elephants now, early part of the morning, you'll actually see the youngsters moving on this side. Early part of the morning, being such a big animal, they need to eat quite a bit. And because it's nice and cool, they'll probably be feeding from here for quite a majority of the morning, and eventually from there on start heading to some water. Look at how this one just looks like it grabbed a... It looks like, what is that tree? This looks like a teak tree that it grabbed and put into its mouth. It's amazing how when elephants, when they chew something, how they can just strip that outer bark. Because at the end of the day, when they eat something like a big bronze, they're trying to get the outer bark because that's where all the nutrients would be. And the raw inner part, if it's too big, they'll just eventually like leave it. It's incredible to watch. This one, it's not going to be too long before this one realizes, okay, the herd is now moving and I need to turn around. Mason, I can't agree with you more. It's very, very therapeutic to watch elephants like this. And sometimes also just to listen to the sounds. Why don't we just do that? Let's just sit and enjoy and hear if we can hear the branches breaking. Let's watch this elephant. And if he does something special, we'll point out. But otherwise, let's just enjoy. Yeah, it's just using that right leg to dig, possibly for the roots, or maybe that early on it was trying to break the, there's a small tree there and it was trying to grab it and then use its foot to wedge it out. Have a look. Amazing how such a big animal has, when they move, they barely make a sound. Like especially if they're moving over an area where there's not a lot of grass. Jerry, well, I think it's a very good question. I mean, in general, elephants are not too picky eaters. I mean, they need to eat a lot in a day, so if there's not a lot of food around, I mean, they have to eat whatever is available. However, I think they can be picky in the sense that they can utilize quite a bit of the environment. You can imagine they can eat grass. They can, if they want to get to the leaves at the top of the tree, they can use their trunk. If they can't reach it, they'll push over the tree to get to it. If they want the roots, they push over the trees, they dig it out. So they can be very selective, but I also feel like if there's not a lot of food available, they won't be as picky, because then, of course, they just eat whatever is there. They are one of the animals that is probably one of the most versatile in the bush. And something like, for example, that nyala we saw this morning. So those nyalas is often in the conservation industry, whenever you're doing assessments to determine what is the health of the environment. In other words, what is the carrying capacity? How many animals can this area sustain without degrading negatively? And so those nyalas are often an indicator species, because when, and kudu, especially when their condition starts going backwards, or when you see them skinny, or or you see them just falling over, dying, then you know there's something wrong, because there's not enough food available for them. And then that's often where you have to then go back and say, okay, what's the reason for it? Where with elephants is they can just utilize so much of the environment. They can get you, if there's an area where there's only a few trees, the nyalas won't be able to get to the leaves on the higher parts of the tree. And if there's no grass, I mean, they'll eventually die of starvation. But the elephants can get to the roots. Nyala's not going to necessarily eat the roots. So, very versatile animal, an elephant. But in the meantime, we're going to just sit here and watch these elephants disappear slowly in the distance. And while we do that, let's head across to Mike on a bushwalk.
So these giraffes, this group of 4 giraffes, were feeding on some balanites trees not so far from us, of course. When they caught wind of us, because it's windy, they decided to move away. But what's interesting is that you can just see their ears. The rest of their body is fairly well camouflaged amongst this sort of brownish vegetation. But the ears stand out very brightly. They're moving further and further away now, but when you can imagine, as a giraffe, you're very tall, and you could easily see those ears from a distance, especially amongst this grey, sort of very dry vegetation. And that's a really interesting way of communicating with each other. And we don't know exactly what or how giraffes communicate. I don't know if you can see that one's reaching itself incredibly high up. I've never seen a giraffe do that before. Its neck is perfectly straight. See that one back there? That's mad. Literally perfectly straight, its neck up. I've never seen that before. I mean, I've seen male giraffes almost get that high, but that's crazy. Anyway, like I was saying, we don't know how they communicate exactly, but that's definitely one way of visually communicating certain things, even if it's just simply, here I am, if you'd like to come over here. It's also really important for the mothers with their youngsters. Look at that, busy feeding on probably the blossoms of that knobthorn. And now, there is a commonly held belief often that giraffes are mammalian pollinators. Benson, I'll finish my story in a moment. Benson, it is really interesting to be on foot with animals. Now, we are right now probably, I don't know, at least 100 meters away from these giraffes. We were much closer earlier. And it's so nice to watch how animals behave around us if we give them the space and the respect. They kind of allow us to do our thing. Bigger animals, or more potentially dangerous animals like elephants, it's quite a bit more nerve-wracking at times, but if we treat them nicely, they treat us the same way. But as I was saying, there's a commonly held belief that giraffes are mammalian pollinators of knobthorns, which, I mean, certainly when they feed on one and then go to feed on the next one, they do pollinate You must be able to hear that. That is a pearl-spotted owlet calling from somewhere very close to us. I'm not exactly sure where. Very close to us somewhere there's a pearl-spotted owlet, which is probably settling down for the morning. They've been very vocal recently. It's the breeding season is about to embark for birds. So all the birds are getting much more vocal. Let me finish my story, though. Let me finish my story about the giraffes. So as this, you can see, is a knobthorn in front of us. It's full of flowers. The giraffes eat more flowers than they pollinate. So the net effect is that they're actually reducing the success rate of the tree. So they're not really the pollinators. It's more of a by chance thing that they might pollinate one or two, but they eat a lot of flowers. So they are not helping the tree at all. I cannot see this pearl-spotted owlet. They are very small. If you've ever seen one before, I'm sure some of you at home have seen them before. They're like the size of two fists held together, very small. And they usually sit very still. Okay, there's one calling far away now. Let's see if this one responds to it. Well, it might respond, but it might not.
So we're still on a search around here. Haven't come any right yet on our search, but we're still continuing searching around. Looking for cats. It's very different than just looking for any ordinary animals. Cats, like leopards, they are sneaky so much where you easily miss them. Once you miss the tracks, then you miss the whole animal. So I'm trying to concentrate on tracks, but also scanning around. Which it happens a lot of time. If you don't see the tracks, it happens if you're lucky, you spot the animal. They not always use the roads. They can when they need to, but when they're hunted, it has to be in the bush. On top of the termites. They're also checking on top of these trees because this is where they host their prey once they have killed them.
So Gert, Eagle Eyes, spotted the pearl-spotted owlet. Just sitting on a branch far, far away from us, but low down. It just flew from one perch to the next, and that's how he spotted it. And it's looking around frantically. I'm sure it's trying to find the other one that was calling. It's a very exposed perch for a very small bird. But on a day like today, there's not much chance of larger predators being around, so it doesn't really worry too much. They've got interesting markings on the back of their head. You can't see them right now, but if this owlet turns its head all the way around, you'll see it's got little black spots on the back of its head, which are false eyes. An animal is less likely to attack if it thinks it's being watched by its prey. And so when an eagle or something is sitting in a tree behind this owlet, it looks and it can see these black spots and it thinks the owlet is watching it, so it stays still. It's a very clever technique. A very clever little technique to remain safe from danger. Now you can just see that black mark. Nathan, pearl-spotted owlets being very small and using a very limited area and fiercely territorial, probably do mate for life, or at least for a season. I know that the ones in Pridelands camp have been raising chicks for a couple of years now in the exact same place. In fact, this last year, I think it was probably early this year, there was 3 little owlet chicks who became favorites of the camp because they became so relaxed with people. They would literally sit at eye level within... Oh, he's just calling lightly. They would sit at eye level within arm's reach of you, just watching you, very relaxed. And if there were termites or insects around you, they would come and land basically on you to catch the insects. They had no fear of humans, and it was wonderful to be around the camp with them. This might well be one of the parents, or even one of those youngsters. I don't know how tolerant the parents are of their youngsters sticking around for once they're adult. I don't think it would, to be honest. But they're just the cutest little birds. And when it's cold, I mean, if this one was having chicks, or if this was a chick, part of a clutch, you would see they would sit very close together, touching each other, like this little furry bundles, trying to keep each other warm. I suspect it's going to move reasonably soon to somewhere more sheltered. Heather, it's not the smallest. I mean, it's certainly one of the smallest. I think it's probably the second smallest. The smallest being the Scops owl, which is just a little bit smaller. I mean, basically the same size, but I think in weight it's a bit smaller. But yeah, the Scops owl. The Scops owl used to be called a Scops owlet because of its tiny size, but there are some features that are distinguishing it from the owlets. I think one of them being that the Scops owl can raise up some feathers to make it look like it has ears, or what we kind of call ears, but it's just a way of camouflaging themselves, which these owlets cannot do. I believe that's one of the distinguishing characteristics between owlets and owls. But I'm not actually sure. That's Heather, your question has led me to even more questions that I must find the answers to. But for now, they will have to remain a mystery.
So, thanks everybody, you're back with us. And then we're still on search for cats, but I got an update about that duckman. Looks like he's turned back into slightly Djuma. So we're gonna take this road and maybe go help around. But really opening my eyes for any of his tracks, because he may have a long walk. Now, that question's about whether they're small owl. True for sure then. So you got two of the small owl around here. Could be more somewhere else, but the pale spotted owlet and the Scops owl, those are the small. Among the two, I'm not sure which one that is slightly smaller than the other. Could be that slightly small. They actually very difficult to spot those one. There is a Scops owl. You would look for them. You go under the tree. They don't fly off, and they still call about, shine around the spotlight above the trees. Search, maybe you don't find it, and it's there because the color they got, it's very well camouflaged. So they are hardly to be visible. We're more likely to hear the calls when they make that call. So that's the call they make. So pale spotted owlet, more likely to be kind of a whistle, but these one, they're more likely to be even available during the day, and they even practice these calls because the territorial they are on about. So we're just going to have a look which one is the smallest among the two. Then once we found out that, it looks like it's going to be the smaller one, we're going to pick it up there. So Lily Pena, you're asking would the owl be active in this weather like this? So now really, the owl, they love to move very much when it's dark for their hunting habits, but if they're ever disturbed, maybe either they hide and they pause in the open for a time being. But I've seen quite a few times that pale spotted owlet, they seems to come out during the day. And they can even hunt during the day when they want. But the rest, they hide. They don't really come out a lot. Find the duck man back there.
Every year in August, South Africa marks Women's Month. Wild Earth would like to acknowledge and thank all the amazing females who have worked tirelessly to share our nature with the world.
We're gonna have to just wait, okay? She's gonna come out there just on my right-hand side, and she can see these impala.
Now you've got to inhale it. It burns. I don't know if it's supposed to work instantly. Go, girl, go! Get her, girl, get her! I'm so looking forward to following her story in the future.
I'm really hoping there's two. I'm really hoping there's two. But you know, even if there's one, oh my goodness, everyone!
And I get to share it with you. Isn't that extra special? I get to experience it and show it to everyone.
We got there. He had probably moved couple of 100 meters down the river and it was about 10 meters from this causeway. So I radioed the lodge quickly and just asked them to bring a land cruiser around and some tow straps. So we thought we were going to try be heroes and save this giraffe. And now a big bull, probably over a ton. He's a big unit. Got the tow strap one side of the giraffe and managed to get it around him with the boat, and the other edge of the tow strap obviously back onto the bank. So we made this U around him because he was lying quite close to the bank. And we put that Land Cruiser in low range and we just gave it hell and pulled that giraffe, and the tow strap slipped up and we thought, oh no, it's going to slip off the top of it, and it caught on his ossicones top. And that last 10 meters pulled him out onto the bank, and he battled. He was obviously quite weak and all that.
looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is a call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops. Oof.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
We are not having too much luck this morning. I put my glasses on so that I can actually see. No, my eyesight's not that bad. But when it's cloudy like this, I struggle. We've got a lot more light than we had yesterday afternoon, that's for sure. I've just been trying to work the reserve. It's important that you work it and in the morning you understand. It's a choice between stopping for every little thing that you see or working the reserve, especially when you've had a day like yesterday and nobody knows where anything is. Finoti went north, Aubrey went southeast, I went west. I've tried to cover that section. Andrew's on the hot heels of Darkmain. Hot, hot, hot. And we're trying to cover ground to piece together of the leopards. If you don't cover ground, you're never going to know, but I haven't been lucky. No leopard tracks so far. Not even hyena tracks, and that's really something. I mean, normally every single road has hyena tracks. So where is everybody? Well, I'm just going to keep working this for a little while, and then we may go and try and see if we can get those Ellies again. They went into a block, but I guess if they're very mobile, they might pop up. But so far, no luck. At least if you find tracks, it's not always about finding the animal, but tracks help. Glenn. Oh my goodness. I'm guessing you're asking about a spirit animal. I always wanted my spirit animal to be a manta ray. But you've worded your question about the best version of me. I don't think I'm that majestic or graceful. I would love to be. You're graceful up there. Oh, Glenn. I'm nowhere near as fierce as Kalamba. Although I'd love to be. I aspire to be that independent and that fierce. Well, maybe an elephant. I have my off days, I have my grumpy days, but overall, love the family bonds, family unit. It's important to me. I love having fun, but also being a bit serious. Maybe, and I like to eat a lot. As much as I wanted to be Kalamba and I wanted to be a manta ray, I would say a manta ray is my spirit animal, but the best version of myself, in terms of animal, would have to be an elephant.
Coming up.
Most important things in life: family, food, and having fun. But being allowed to have your off days. Do not deny yourself. I read a really interesting article about this whole positive vibes movement. Everyone says, positive vibes, let's have positive vibes. But actually it's quite toxic. Because it makes people feel like they can't have their off days. They've got to constantly people feel like they just constantly have to be the best version of themselves, and they have to constantly be, yay, positive vibes, I'm so positive. And being positive is so great, but just allow yourself, if you're feeling down, allow yourself to feel down. If you're feeling off, just allow that. Don't emphasize on it and don't let it build up, but just allow those days. It's a really fascinating article about the toxic culture of positive vibes. Anyway, I got sidetracked there. Thank you, Glenn. That was a really awesome question, especially when I don't have much to show you, now that our beautiful lilac-breasted roller has gone slightly further away. And I'm not sure what it looks like on your screen, but can you see? You really can't see the colours. We know that lilac-breasted rollers are the most fantastically coloured animals out here. They have 7 unbelievably gorgeous colours. If I had to pick a colour palette, it would have been those colours that I would have chosen. what you're saying, Gwen. I can only hear my voice louder than yours, which is not ideal. But you can see that they're not so brilliantly coloured right now because there's no sunlight. Grace? No, we don't. Normally solitary. I don't think I've ever had a sighting of more than one. They're not social birds. I think I've only ever seen... I don't even think I've seen two squabbling. I'm trying to think. Nope. I've only ever had solitary solo sightings of lilac-breasted rollers. They definitely win the title. I mean, there's some gorgeous birds here. I do love the coloration of the little bee-eater. Even the carmine bee-eater. I mean, that's really something. But lilac-breasted rollers, they win in my preference for the sort of colour palette. But when there's no sunlight, it's actually not sort of really obvious how colourful they are. They need the sunlight to hit them. And it's the reflection of the rays that bring out the colours. Okay, I'm making a decision now. Where do I want to go? I tried so hard for Kalamba yesterday. I had her tracks. She was on the dam cam and she went east on Central. But after that, I really did not pick up. I lost her tracks on the block and I really couldn't relocate her. But anyway, Andrew was absolutely on those hot, hot heels of dark meat.
Lauren, good luck there. So we have managed, we were actually called out on our way out here, so that he's in this area, the duckman, and then of course we find him, but he's just take it easy by himself, sleeping right there. But I think just to judge the distance of what he has walked, for him walk past the dam, Gari Dam, straight north into Beblisuk and come out now, he's not far from Chito Dam. So he's done a big loop. He's got himself such a nice place. We've been talking about whether the cats would be mobile and who likes to be in the thicket. Well, lions, this area where he is at the moment, you see how it's slightly opened. But the grass is tall, so he's still comfortable. A leopard would need more cover to hide because they are sneaky cats, those. But they're also meant to be in the very covered, the leopard. Where lions, this is such a beautiful open, they'll love about, even carry on hunt like this, in such an area like this. Sure. So you're saying that man, he's doing the best. So he's done very well actually. And then by just looking at him, even though he's separate from the bride, but his condition, it's phenomenal. He has actually good condition. And it's always a normal for a male lion to leave the bride from time being and he would move by himself, or if there are two of them in a bride, they would separate and move about it. And then for that, they are doing their work. So it's so important. The bride are well protected by the males in their area, which he's actually doing his best at the moment. And move about without him, the bride, you would do the best. Reactivate the scent. Joyce, you're asking, have I ever seen him hunt? So I've walked out when they were all three together. I seen them, but a while ago. So they were all even still blondie mane. So they actually was the first time they came into an area, and then we saw them hunt buffalo, and they went actually kill one. And there were still three of them. But that's actually the time I saw them hunt. I never seen Dark Mane by himself hunt alone. But he would hunt. It's a way of survive. Even though he's maybe sometimes slightly lazy, but he would, if there is something that moving about here, you would definitely react into it.
Morning. Yeah, good morning. Go ahead, Abel.
White man, you're commenting saying it's a favorite line to see. You're very right. Dark Mane, he's actually loved by everybody, and he's such a cool cat. Anyway, with the mane that he's got, it's also to tell us that he's not young anymore, but also determined by the gene pool, probably from his father, whether it was much darker. Some they turn darker when they go old, but some gene pool is there from their father, whether they were these very long mane, and these men you see they all come across their belly underneath, and they may copy from that their father's gene pool. But yeah, anyway, he is beautiful. And then I would just imagine if, which I believe he would make it through his life, even though males live shorter lifespan, but in a way he's probably around maybe 9 years, somewhere there, and then he's still healthy, and then these men would even turn dark around his face, on top of his head there. So we're gonna stick with these duck main for now.
So we're just gonna enjoy, as Eva puts it, the voice of the bush for a few moments. We're gonna just walk down the road, just because it's pleasant. It's pleasant to just walk in the bush. We're staying on the road simply because of the safety. It's quite windy. We don't want to be in the bush where we might get startled by something. These are all hyena tracks that you can see on this road, interspersed with what looks like doves walking in a termites have come out underground to collect some of this dead grass material, and in doing so they leave lots of the deep dark soil from under the ground. Probably hear the wind picking up quite a lot. Nice and cool, beautiful day.
Still no luck on our side. I checked the junction, Zoe's, Balanites and Rebecca's, but no luck. Not a single track for anything that we want to see, not even an elephant. So I'm going to slowly move back in the direction of that herd. I really don't know where's left to scratch around for Tlalamba. We went high and low yesterday in all sorts of tricky spots. And I know that many of you are speculating. I try to avoid speculating as much as I can. The images or the screenshots that I saw from the dam cam are just blurry. I couldn't possibly conclusively say anything. But of course, she was seen mating around the 8th, 9th of May. It could be possible that she's ready. They do go back into estrus remarkably quickly, and that's a survival strategy for females when it comes to their reproductive output. If they lose a litter, immediately come into estrus, survival strategy. And she was seen mating, it just happened to be on the dam cam. And that's where the dam cam is an incredible tool. Otherwise, we would have never have known that happened. But it was funny, the other night on the dam cam, we were there, we were in the area, we heard the monkeys alarming, we got notifications from the dam cam update, but we were there. And Mulwati was also there. And that's why I got very confused, and there was actually 2 leopards in that sighting. Mulwati wouldn't have been picked up by the dam cam, he was just behind the lodge on the western side, which is fascinating. But anyway, I am also speculating about Tlalamba, but you know our princess, she has her days. She comes and goes, she's a busy bee. She's always got an agenda, dear old Tlalamba. But I would love to see her. This is my second last day of the stint. Tomorrow's my last day, and I really would love to catch up with Tlalamba. I've had the most incredible sightings, really. I've been very lucky. Really, really lucky this stint. It's been a long stint, so generally the longer you stay here, the more you're going to see. But my sightings were through the roof. Things that I didn't ever expect to encounter. But for the last 2 days, I want to see Kalamba. Tracy, speculation for you guys is maybe fun, but not for us. It goes on Facebook, and then, oh, Lauren said this, no. About an animal. For you guys, it can be fun, absolutely. But for us, we can't say something unless we see personally the signs or have the evidence. What does BK see? I can't see. BK has spotted something. So yes, speculation from a guide's perspective. You have to be careful. My goodness, BK! How did you see that? I think we need to swap glasses. BK's also wearing glasses, and I think I'm wearing the wrong pair. Wowza, what a find. A rock monitor. Look at that, just completely blends into the marilla well-spotted beaks. You just see that tail hanging down, must be terribly cold. Pretty immobile, I would guess. But yes, Tracy, you guys speculate. It can be exciting. Oh, maybe not. I love that part of it. But sometimes people take things a little bit too seriously. So until I see it, I won't call it. But I do see this monitor lizard. I'm definitely not speculating about that. Oh, he must be so cold. Poor guy. Look at the claws, though. Of course, even if that's the thing about being a reptile, if you're really not powered up from the sun, ambient temperatures are too low, you're barely even going to be able to escape a predator. And that was sort of what happened with the Tandy Marib's water monitor lizard sighting. I mean, the monitor apparently didn't even try to move because it just couldn't. You're rendered useless if you've not got your energy. And that's the unfortunate thing about being a reptile. I mean, there's so many amazing things about being a reptile, but that's definitely not one of them. Because they are equipped with claws, look at that. And they are equipped with speed at lashing their powerful tail. They've also got quite a bite. But if you're not powered up by the sun, you're not going to be able to utilize any of those escape mechanisms. Oh. We always find when the weather changes on us like this, it does become difficult to pick up on animals again. Derek, no, they don't lay eggs in a tree. Monitor lizards generally lay eggs in the ground. A lot of reptiles do, actually. From your sea turtles to your crocodiles. They have those sharp claws which actually allow them to dig and keep the eggs moist and at a constant temperature in the ground. They'll lay a clutch. It could be anywhere on the ground, though. It could be in a termite mound, a nice little pocket in a termite mound. It won't necessarily be near the water like a water monitor. But they will lay in the ground. And once they cover the sort of clutch back up again, it will stay at a constant temperature, especially if it's a small clutch. And that's what's important, remember. Temperature is very important to reptiles. But they won't lay it in a tree. There's far too much that could sort of come and get them. For example, birds, harrier hawks, snakes would come and eat the eggs. It's better being buried underground. cannot believe how much this guy just blends in. Just looks like a branch. But I think I'm going to get BK to find me all the animals for the rest of the morning.
Competitors are in the room behind me right now for the birding challenge, where they have to look at pictures and identify the birds and then separately listen to bird calls and identify them. But it's not easy. This is going to be the toughest one. Here we have the previous year's winners. You can see they're trying to see if they can remember all the answers, and look at them taking a sneak peek.
Okay, there's another big male coming in from our left here. Another big male, look at this. This is the one. Now you're going to see sparks fly, guys. Guys, it doesn't get better than this, eh? Yes, unbelievable. Africa, I love you, eh?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
And he just taking it easy. He doesn't actually have a lot of a thing going on his mind. But he has a long day for himself here. I got a feeling maybe if he stood up, he would cross the border into Chito, where slightly west of that, it's also another property there, a little gari. So one of these two property, if he would make his way south, you rather cross into these two, one of the two. But if he could make his way to the east, then he will be in Torchwood. At the moment he's in Juma property, which is cool. I also say that, it happens, maybe he may be on a long move all night. It happens you turn around. Indeed, he did turn around back to the property again, even far south than we thought. asking how far I think does he travel every day, so it can't be all the same. Some night he would travel less, some night he would travel far, although it will maybe include traveling a little bit during the day. But just to estimate, I'm not sure how far he reach up north, where from Aratuza, that big loop past the Gari Dam, already is anything for more like 4 kilometers down there. And then from there to the north, and then always back to this area. It happens maybe it's anything from a 9-11 kilometer he has moved. He's probably done a lot of a rotation, maybe zigzag during the forage, where it could be maybe found out that it's even more than 11 kilometers. Some nights they may travel less or maybe none at all, depending on the food supply that they have find in the area. When the bush supply a lot in terms of the prey species, then the cats won't maybe move about unless if they practicing something else, protecting their territory. Then of course there is no hunting method or any of hunting mood taking place. So we're gonna stay put here, see what he does. In the meantime, let's see Lauren around the dam.
Oh, it's all happening at Gowrie Dam. Mr. Marabou convinced it's the one I saw the other night. And an elephant. This elephant's been here for ages. Sadly, he's now moving off. I do believe there's potential luck with a leopard on Chitwa, so I'm not going to stay here too long. Just thought we'd come and look at this very, very cold marabou stork and the elephant. I'm convinced it's the one I had the other night. I mean, it was on Twin Dams Road. Can't actually see if it's male or female from here, but if we turn around, we might get a view. What are you doing, marabou? They're just too fabulous. Oh, another elephant beaks, look. Spend a little bit of time with Ellie and then we'll head to Chitwa. Chitwa. Nice, look at that. I think this actually could be the herd that we had earlier, slowly making their way this side. It would make sense. So my beak should get to Ellie, hippo, 2-shot. Ta-da! Oh, the hippo will not be happy that there's Ellies around the dam. Sharon, when they're coming to water, yes, they've got their water walk on, we call it. A swagger. It's not always like this, but definitely when they're walking to water, they've just got that jaunty, happy skip. They love water. It excites them. It's pleasurable for them to be around water. Stimulating in terms of olfactory stimulating. Naturally, it quenches their thirst. They just love water. Elephants have the best time in water. And they're joyous when they get to the water body that they want to be at. Animals feel pain, they feel pleasure. And water definitely brings a lot of joy, that's for sure. Oh, that wind is picking up. Oh, there's a little one coming. You see that, Beaks? They're all coming. It's definitely that herd. Look at the small one. Got the water walk. Oh yes, we see you too. Thank you, BK, for giving us some attention. Sure if you can hear the sounds over the winds, but normally when I see elephants drinking, I tend to be quite silent so you can hear all the lovely water sounds. But it's obviously very windy. So we're heading to Chitwa, see what they've got down there, and you guys are heading over to Mike on Bushwalk.
Now, what we have is shelter from the wind. First of all, it started to get a bit gusty, so we thought we'd come onto these rocks. And somehow, because it's very cold today, the conversation started to turn to food. Well, actually, Evo is very hungry, and so we talked about food. And then I saw this plant, and I realized that this is actually a wonderful food plant. Not right now, at this time of year, because it's dry and it's not having fruits on. But this is called a shakama plum. Okay, and a shakama plum, the scientific name is Hexalobus monopetalus, is having a fruit that tastes exactly like guava. I don't know if you know what a guava tastes like, but it's really, really delicious. It's actually one of those things that you either love or you hate, but I really love them. And now how I can tell that this is a shakama plum, first of all, is it grows amongst these rocks, just like you're seeing it now. And secondly, Gert, let me see if I can find a leaf that you can see clearly. I'll just put my foot there. Gert, are you able to see this leaf here? Okay. They are almost perfectly symmetrical. If you fold the leaf along that mid-vein, it's literally almost perfectly symmetrical, which is quite unusual for leaves, to be honest. They usually have some, slightly asymmetrical shape, but this one is almost perfectly symmetrical. And the fruits are delicious. They taste like guava, as I've mentioned. And the seeds, or actually it's not even a seed, it's like a flower bud. The flower buds, when they dry, smell remarkably like peppercorns. If you crush them, it really smells like pepper. And although I've never found research for it, or actually I can't remember if I've found research for it, I'm pretty sure you could use that as a pepper substitute if you dried it and sprinkled it, because it literally tastes just like pepper. I've never tasted, I mean, it smells just like pepper. I've never tasted it, just because I don't know if it's toxic or not. I assume it's not toxic because the fruit is very edible. The fruit is so good, in fact, that you hardly ever get to eat it, because it gets eaten by birds and other animals immediately. But it's a really cool plant. And I've just made myself even more hungry. So we're going to send you over to Nick eating gala whilst I crave some shakama plum.
So have a look at what we've just found in this open area is an ostrich. And you see the color of this one, how it's like a light brownish color. So this is a female, and the male is just slightly to the left of where she is. You can see how high his head is. He's probably like looking out to see if there's any signs of danger around. You'll see the female off to the right. She keeps her head very low to the ground, looking probably for some seeds. She might pick up some pods that are on the ground. Like where she is now, there's more grass than anything else. So I'm thinking she's probably picking up quite a bit of grass seeds. Look at how low her head is to the ground. You can see the wind is still blowing today, like not as hard as yesterday, but if you look at the feathers, you'll see how it's moving because of the wind. But of course, as I said, she's feeding. She just lifted her head to see if there's anything around in the area. Wouldn't be too long, and then she'll probably start feeding again. Veronica, I have seen ostriches mating before, but it was quite a while ago. I think I haven't recently seen it. I've seen it as, like, I remember maybe more than 10 years ago. But often see how this female is like picking and like close to the ground. Now often, have you heard about the term ostrich puts his head under or in the sand or in the ground? Now, it's been believed, or it's been said quite a few times, it became a very popular saying, but normally what could have happened there is when ostriches, so let's say like with this male and female, if they had to mate and eventually she lays her eggs, it will be in a small ditch in the ground. They'll either scrape it or they'll form like a little shallow area. And so sometimes when they move the eggs before they lie down, it looks like their head is in the ground. And hence the name, the ostrich with the head in the ground. But it wasn't for that, it's just because it was like having the head right near the eggs. And because of that being in the ground, it looks like the head was in the ground. Shravi, the eggs are pretty big. I mean, like in order to explain it, I'll probably just use my hands to illustrate how big an ostrich egg would be. I'll even like to use my book. So, I mean, if I look at my bird book here, that's probably around, let's say that's 10 centimeters, 20, so let's say 22 centimeters. So an ostrich egg will probably be like around about this size. So around about that size. That's how big the ostrich egg would be. You'll be able to fit quite a few chicken eggs into it. I'm trying to remember how many it was. It either was 12 or 24 eggs in an ostrich egg. Maybe some of our viewers can quickly have a look for us and let us know. But I do remember you can fit quite a few chicken eggs in an ostrich egg. I think it was 12. Apparently, I just heard that it is 24 eggs. So, thank you for that comment, because I remember reading up about it a while ago, and I just couldn't. I would remember it was something like either 12 or 24. I couldn't remember exactly which it is. But imagine 24 chicken eggs in one ostrich egg. Make a very big omelette. Nathan, I've never seen it, but I have heard of some guys that have seen that happening. And so often with cheetah as well, you can see it with lions and cheetah, but what they do is they tend to chase these ostriches. In some areas, they actually, what I've noticed is that they herded them towards a rocky area or into an area where there's quite a lot of shrubs and that. And when these ostriches then run, they sometimes would slip or trip over some of these bushes or even over the rocks. And when they fall down, I mean, they're right on top of them. So I have seen that before. I've heard about it before, but I personally have never seen a lion catching an ostrich, or even any of the cats feeding off an ostrich. I mean, for some of our viewers, I'm sure you've been out on safari before, and you probably would have seen something like that, and I would like to know if there's anyone that has ever seen that. But I personally haven't. I just want to quickly respond to one of the rangers. Go ahead. Manuelity first. So I just want to reply to this ranger quickly. Correct. So just to give you an idea, so I've spoken to one of the rangers now. So this morning, remember we were saying we were tracking those lions, and apparently they have found the white lions this morning, and it seems to me that they are finishing off on a buffalo carcass. So what we're going to do is we're going to head in that direction and see if we can get them. It's quite a bit of a drive. It's probably taken another 15 or 20 minutes to get there, but it's very exciting. So let's go and have a look. So it's one of the best things about Ngala I really enjoy is how the guides really work together in order to try and find some of these animals. You'll hear the one ranger will go there, the other one here, and we'll work together constantly. If someone finds tracks, we'll try and get the other person into the area to follow, and if they lose it, the other person will go around, and so we work together to try and then find these animals. But in the meantime, Morgan and I are going to try to see if we can get these white lions.
Good, so we're still sitting here, and then our duck man he just can see he's still alive for sure. His eyes are a little bit open so he can blink. So he's still alive. It's not that he passed out there. Now the wind is picking up slightly up again. So we're just gonna see, he maybe may lie down here where he's actually flat there. There's a lot of grasses around him, so he may not feel much of this wind. Always keeping an eye, not for us, but probably checking something else out, because they actually have very good hearing, sense of smell, so he can still smell if there's anything around. There's a chance of wind bringing some of the carcass smell towards him, and he will react immediately to it. Because they also scavenge as well. Lions are scavenge, leopard are scavenge.
You can see the ground around me very dry. I'm back at the banks of Ndlovu Dam, and it looks lifeless, right? Or almost lifeless to most of us, including myself. Often I look and I think, wow, it's just so dry. But life is actually returning. The weather, although today is very, very cold, it is technically warming up. It's late winter now, and it'll be summer or spring shortly. So the birds are starting to come back. And just yesterday, we were talking about a bird that was calling. It was the red-billed buffalo weavers, and they were up there. Right? They were sitting in that nest on the top of that dead tree. And the students said it was the first time they'd ever heard that bird. And I thought it was really interesting, because it's a bird that I know quite well. And it was their first time hearing it, and I realized that they've only gotten here during winter when the birds are not nesting. My goodness, here comes the wind. And the birds are starting to rebuild their nests. So the buffalo weavers were... Oh, I'm going to have to come a bit closer. I think Gerd can't hear me. The buffalo weavers were rebuilding their nests in preparation for the time when they're going to be nesting again with their chicks, or laying eggs. Remember, they want to lay eggs just before or just around about spring, so that there is an abundance of insects and seeds and all the sorts of things that they would like to eat. So it's really cool to think that they're starting. And another interesting thing that we had yesterday was I heard a Wahlberg's eagle. Now it's way too early. Well, not way too early, but it's too early for a Wahlberg's eagle to be back. But it was a drongo. There was a forked-tailed drongo mimicking a Wahlberg's eagle. Now that's interesting because it shows incredible understanding. The eagles have not been around for months and months because they migrate from Central Africa, and so the drongos haven't been mimicking them because there's none around. But now the drongo realizes that almost soon the eagles will arrive back, so it's starting to mimic those eagles again, which is, I think, fantastic. Love how everything in the bush knows what's going on. So Andrew's got some lions lying around. So we'll send you back to him to check what they're doing.
Thanks, Mike. So, from the dam to the male lion, the duckman, we saw him look around, not looking at us, but it's probably because he has to be aware of what's around him. You can see his ears every now and then swinging around a little bit. He can still hear properly, even though he's taking a nap there. And they're more likely to sleep unconscious. And most animals do that, especially cats. The other bride might be for now, which they haven't actually been seen around here. Arabi, you're asking how old is a duckman? So these male, the old three of them, they were born around 2013, somewhere there. So probably anything from about 9 years now. So duckman is part of the other two Avoca males. And then these other two brothers of his, they operate on the far southwest of here. And they're more likely to stick with the Gohuma bride. And I was just so amazed of how that worked out. Usually, I heard that the Gohuma, they're in Aretusa. This was yesterday, and he went almost in that area. But he turned around. Probably maybe he didn't notice that they're around. So they're three coalition. Every time they bump on one another, and then a friendly or family bond still go on. They're very strong. But for them being separated apart, I wouldn't say it's a good idea. I've seen so many of problem in that case where they finally outnumber. Every day it happens so much of other challenge due to many males around. He cannot stand by himself against the 3 or 4 males in the area. He would, but finally he lost it. He's been very lucky that he hasn't actually had a lot of challenge much. Jason, you asking what are the biggest coalition I ever seen. So, the history of Mapocho, if you know of Mapocho, heard of them. So these are the coalition that I ever seen since then I haven't actually seen such stronger males, and the way they were behaving, they wouldn't care about the female, they wouldn't actually care about anything. So these are the bigger coalition of male I've ever seen. I come across them once when they came to an area, and there were all about 5 of them. Though I seen also Manjingalan, but you know, when we talk about Mapocho, they were such a tremendous, coalition, just to see how they wiped all the other lines. We know Messi and his coalition, so that is if I have to talk about the coalition of male, if I come across, witness the destructions and things like that, that's the one. I know it comes in Manjingalan, and this is the coalition that sought out the area. When they came in, there was so much fight between the Mapocho until one of these kinky tails died right on the eastern side of this place where we're standing right here. It's not far on the east. But Mapocho, they already killed one of the Manjingalan already that morning, and there was so much revenge going on this evening. Eventually, Mapocho lost it. One male returned back south, and the other one was left lying dead. And a cannibalistic take place where they were Manjingalan feeding on that male line, that kinky tail. And all was left the next morning was a head and a mane. So we will check around for something else for now. We're gonna leave him. He won't gonna go anywhere, I believe.
As we celebrate Women's Month in South Africa, we acknowledge and thank those women committed to conservation, working tirelessly both on the front lines and behind the scenes. The Endangered Wildlife Trust is proud of the women who dedicate their lives to fighting to save species, conserve habitats, and benefit people. Here's to strong women everywhere who are dedicated to protecting forever together.
For me, the best part about being a guide is being able to live out in Africa's wild places and being able to share that with people. Of all the challenges, for me, the one that I'm probably the most comfortable with is the game drive. I think that's what I do most days, so that would probably be what I feel like I'd do the best at.
It's like someone's put little Lego blocks up there and made this perfect little sort of statue, and there's another one further along as we drive.
One of the challenges I'm the most nervous about would probably be shooting. I think on the day there's always quite a bit of pressure and intimidation, always associated with it, but I guess we'll see how it goes. I hope I'll win this competition, but if I don't, it's still been an experience of a lifetime, and I've learned a lot and met a lot of really, really cool people.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, 2 to go. How cool is this?
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
I love being a cam-op for Wild Earth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Hello, Swazi. You coming to see me? Hello, my boy. Look at how close he walks to the cars. Hi, Swaz. Oh, you coming to see me? Hello, I have missed you greatly. And clearly you've missed me too. This is wonderful. Ah. Hello, boy. You're in the wrong direction. The leopard's over that way. Yes. Oh, there's another hyena. I see another hyena in a distance. I don't think BK will be able to see, but I do see another hyena. Yay! There's a leopard here. It's been called in as a skittish male. I don't know if it's possibly Semba or another male. We don't know. So we're just taking it easy in our approach. Okay, let's approach now. Swazi's doing some anal pasting. How delightful.
I'll take you on this. Well done on finding Mrs. Ivy.
Yeah, I'm just going to drive really slowly because they're saying that he's skittish. Swaz. Oh, that, makes me laugh no end. Okay, so they were pointing over this way. But since BK found the monitor, it's all on you, Beaks. Ah, is that him on the mound? Aha, I see a leopard on the mound. It's a long distance visual, but it'll work for now. Now, I can't see anything from the angle I'm at, so I'll need your help. It could be Semba. But apparently this male is quite skittish. We got him. Thank you, Polly.
Lauren, if you go to that last spot where I actually stopped, there's quite a good view from there.
Copy, we got him.
Well done, enjoy it.
But if any of you are able to ID him, please let me know. That's why. Apparently there's a bamba. A bamba means a kill, basically. But I don't see any sort of kill around here, but that's exactly why the hyenas are here. The hyenas are definitely spending all their time on Chitwa and Little Gowrie. 100%. I'm going to keep my car parked away, though. I think if the individual's been called in as skittish, I think it's important just to go with that for now. And I do know that Semba is not great with the vehicles. I don't know why. Whereas Shasha and Marib, they just love the vehicles. Boys and their toys. Swaz is very familiar with the vehicles. Hyena and a leopard, yes. Spots and spots and spots and spots. And we're on Chitwa. We're quite far east on Chitwa, actually. The roads, this is new territory for me. I just need your help to ID them. And I'm looking around for the bamba. Normally I can smell it. I mean, if there's a carcass, the leopard's got its head up, Beaks. I don't know if you want to get another view. Hello? What are these horrible hyenas doing, huh? They're trying to steal your food. I don't find hyenas horrible at all, but I do know that's how leopards feel about them. Well, I'm going to try and stay here for as long as I can, and I believe Nikki has also had some luck with the cats.
So just have a look at this treat this morning on Ngala. We have 2 white lions, the young male and the young female at the back. And it looks like they've just finishing off a buffalo. You'll see just right of where they are now. You might even see the red color in the grass. So that's the ribs of the buffalo there. It's incredible, like, you can imagine with all these young lions around that they wouldn't be hunting something as big as a buffalo, but they're able to. And even with the pride, maybe the older lioness with all the experience was with them when they did that, because it does look like it's possibly a buffalo bull that they've taken down. I can't agree with you more. It is a perfect cat today. This is just amazing to watch. And also what's quite nice about it is like, so even though we haven't seen these white lions as regularly as we normally used to see them when they were with the pride, it's still amazing to see that they are on Ngala. They've been spending quite a bit of time in the southern part of the reserve. You can see right over here there's another male lying down in the grass. Like, he's so much more camouflaged than these white lions. Because that one had to put his head down. You wouldn't know he's there, but you can see how much different in comparison he would be towards that white male and the white female. Look at how they stand up. You can see the white female has quite a bit of like a bloodish stain on her, as well as this male. That's probably as they were trying to get into the carcass to get some of the meat between the ribs. But you can see his mane is coming along. I mean, he's probably only going to have a fully developed mane once he gets to 5.5, 6 years old. So it's still a while for him to go. Vicky, I think all the younger ones here have a very strong bond together. I don't think necessarily that the white female will have a stronger bond with the white male. I think she has a very strong bond with her sister because they've been together for quite a while. But also these other males, like they have been. Oh, just look at how he's just flopped down now. Look at how big that belly is. I mean, just had a buffalo. But sorry, Morgan just had such a laugh now. Sorry, Morgan. No, I can imagine that she and her sister would probably have a bigger bond, and are often seen together. Like, I mean, with her as well, she is sometimes seen with this male, but then she's also seen sometimes with this male's brother. So I don't think necessarily that these two will have the strong bond. I think in general, this little group together has a very strong bond together. And this might be them for the next little while. You can imagine, big buffalo, had something to drink. Like, that's how we found the tracks of them. They were going past one of the waterholes and then crossed over one of the roads. That's where Rowan saw them this morning, and then they started tracking them from there. And I'm sure looking at that size of the buffalo and only knowing that with these youngsters, there's 6 lions altogether, 5 of these subadults, and then, or not subadults anymore, possibly, but like 5 younger lions, and then you have the old lioness with them. So it's only 6, and they had a whole buffalo. So I'm sure they probably made the kill probably yesterday at some point in time. Maybe in the morning, could have been the day before. And they've just been around here for the last 2 days.
So we mobile about, we have left Duckman and then he's still flat there. And the guys will keep us up there. We're going to check for something else. Maybe a leopard around here. Because there were some tracks of a leopard that was seen yesterday and we came to an area trying to re-follow up on them. And I trust that, since it's actually drizzled last night, if we ever come across the tracks, then they're going to be very clearly tracks to us. Also, since we don't know where the rest of the Talamati is, it happens they came in by chances that nobody have seen their tracks. Sometimes these cats can surprise you. Got into an area where nobody would not even think they're there. Because indeed, with the wind that died down, a lot of animals will be finding greater access to move about.
So it is Semba. I thought so. I thought when they called in a skittish male on Chitwa. Hello, why are you so skittish, my boy? You've got another brother or sister. Did you know that? Your mama's had another litter. So Semba is Kuchava's son. You all helped vote for that name that Tristan put out. And technically Tandi's grandson. And for some reason, especially in comparison to Shasha and Marib's, he is just really skittish, and I don't know why. The only thing I can think of is that there's been an incident, probably not an intentional one, and I don't know where and I don't know who, but it's just put him off vehicles. Because if you look at the nature of Shasha and Marib's, they are so curious, so habituated, and so relaxed. just slightly worrying that Semba is not. And we found the kill. It's up in Amarula behind us. I'm not entirely sure it's going to be the easiest for Beaks to show you. It looks like an impala. It's really high up in the tree. I mean, it's definitely not on a lower branch, that's for sure. There we go. It's a difficult one, but there's a kill there. And something's obviously scared him. And he's up this mound. So we're not going to get any closer to him. I don't want to push it. There's no need to push it. We have a view. We've managed to see Swaz, and he's popped his head up. I don't know why Semba's like this. And it also, from a selfish point of view, of course, we want to see them. We don't want them to be skittish. But also from their point of view, thinking of the animal, you don't want them to flee from their... That was a silly yawn. You don't want them to flee from their kill every time they see a vehicle. That's not fair on them. Forgetting the selfish human aspect. Some of you might never have seen Semba before. He's not a common one, I would say, that we really see all the time. And he's an October baby, just like me. I'm October. He's a Libra, aren't you, boy? And October 2019. So he's not quite 2 yet. So just like Shasha pushed to independence a little bit earlier, Mom's already had a litter. So when we say male leopards generally tend to stay with Mom until 2, I mean, that is just an average age. Sometimes it's 18 months, sometimes it's 20 months, sometimes it's 22. Okay, he's moving. Let's just see where he goes. I'm hoping he's gonna go back to his kill. I'm just gonna stay quiet. Darren, you've never seen him before. Semba. It's gorgeous. Tristan had him recently with Maribs. They had a standoff. I had him, I think, in January this year with Kuchava. When he's with his mom, or when he was with his mom, he was always a little bit more confident. And Kuchava was there. But now he's independent. Mama's got a new litter. I think he's heading to the kill. I'm only going to move the car when he gets up to the kill. But he's a big boy. The visual's going to be tricky, but let's just give him time and space. You've got to know your animals out here. If they're skittish and I turn my engine on right now, he's going to run. He's going to run away from his kill. So if you just sit tight, I'm anticipating that he's heading that way. Come on, Semba. I'd love to see him up a kill. Normally when leopards are up a tree, they're happy, you know, they know that the vehicles are going to come that way. I can see him, Beaks. He's here, slowly moving. He's at about 10 o'clock. Yep, you're at the right spot. See how easy it is to lose a leopard, even in winter. Where's he gone? We're just going to sit tight here. You all know about your patient plants. I didn't catch that name, Kylie? Not sure, but Semba means trust. And it was actually Tristan set out 3 names and put it to you guys, put it to the viewers to vote. And you all voted on Semba. But it's T-S-E-M-B-A. Sort of a silent T, if you like, Semba. Yeah, well done, well done. You've got him, Beaks. He's slowly moving to this tree. And it means trust. And it's such a lovely name. But he didn't have a name for long enough. No one named him. So Tristan decided, come on, guys, we've got to name him. We can't keep saying he or skittish male. Semba. And I've only had a handful of sightings with him, really. I had a good sighting with him when he was a cub on Chitwa again, and he's also quite skittish then. He's just not the most relaxed male. Yep, he's definitely heading to his tree. I'm going to let him get up there, get settled, before we even think about turning on the engine. Imagine Swaz coming up to the car like that. You know, Swazi lost his mom early, and they just spent so much time in camp that I just think he's really a bit too ready to humans and vehicles. Come on, boy. Go up your tree. Go get your brekkie. He knows we're here. He can hear me. He's got incredible hearing. He also knows the vehicle is here. So there's some element of trust. Ha ha ha. Semba right there. And it's not going to be the best visuals for BK. If this was any other leopard, I would reposition right now to get the leopard going up the tree, but not with Semba. Okay, I'm really hoping that he's going to climb this tree very soon. But for now, there's a very beautiful lady in Cape Town who wants to say good morning to you all. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the beautiful Cape Town. Here we have a huge variety to look at. You saw the mountains up there, the ocean, the boulders, so much life, and even a bit of coastal forest right here that I get to stand in. I love to start my morning this way, and it is me, Trishal. I've got Jandre on camera with me, and we decided we are going to go down to have a look at the beach in the sandy area in a little bit. We're at Cozy Bay again, but we found this little nook of vegetation. Really nice, beautiful coastal vegetation with a little bit of fungi along the branches here. So most of these trees have actually collapsed, but that's perfect because a lot of these fungi are saprotrophic, the ones that rot away logs. So we've got this really bright orange bracket fungi just up there. Look at that color, so vibrant. I think it's fantastic. Well, you know I think it's fantastic. I love fungus. Usually the ones that grow on vegetation though. So these are actually called polypores, or well, bracket fungi in general. There's also these the white split gills, and both of them are polypores. That's a type of fungus or bracket fungi. Cool, I had to share that with you before we go down to the beach. And speaking of which, we're going to go down now.
So as you can see, these lines haven't moved an inch. Like, they are so full at the moment. And with all of them being around here, they know, like, nothing's really going to come and steal their carcass from them. Also, with having three males with them here, the chances are more likely that once they leave this carcass, that hyenas will come and finish up the remains of it. There are still a few bones around here. There's a buffalo leg that we've driven past that looks like there's still a bit of meat on it, so I'm sure they're probably just waiting until there's a bit more space before they go and try and get some more meat off some of the bones. But I don't think they'll be here for a few days. I think maybe by this afternoon they'll still be around, but tomorrow morning they'll be gone. And I wondered to myself, how did this, like, imagine if these are all the youngsters here. I haven't seen the older lioness, the mother of the white one and her sister. And I wonder how they took down that buffalo. Maybe the fact that there are 3 young males here that are incredibly strong. It could have been that this buffalo was lying down to get out of the wind, and with them being so opportunistic, made use of the opportunity and got onto that buffalo before it even got up. I'm not too sure. You can see the wind's blowing quite hard. There's a lot of noise. If if I stay quiet for a while, you can actually hear the wind moving through the trees. And maybe they used that in order to approach this buffalo through the grass, moving, and the buffalo probably wouldn't have heard them. And then when they were close, if they all jumped on top of this buffalo, there was no way for it to even get up. I don't know if it's this male lion breathing or if it's just the wind moving. I think it's more of him breathing. Look at that blade of grass right in front of his nose. Siobhan, it will be white, but it won't be like a crisp white. So you'll see under the eye, that's the initial color of when these lions were born. They look like these two little white fluff balls. But as they got older, especially this young male, you can see there's a bit of a tinge to his mane. It's not completely white, it's more of a dirty wash. And it could be when he has a full mane that it will be slightly off from the color white. But it won't be a dark mane. It won't be a very dark color. It would be more of a light, not a bright white mane, but a bit of a dirtyish white mane that he'll have. Similar to the color that he has now. White female just picked up her head. Now the one was moving. Now see behind her ears, there is still a bit of color. Now same with this white male. Now even though they are what we refer to as leucistic lions, so not albinos, because albinos have no pigment. But there is still a bit of pigment here. So he will have some color in his mane, but it will be a very light color. Like that female, you can see her ears in comparison to her sister that just sat up right next to her. You'll see the difference in color. And what will happen is he will have, a bit of a darker mane, but both of them will have that very light color.
It's been a very chilly winter here in the southern hemisphere, but now it's starting to heat up. The sun is rising a little earlier, which means, of course, the animals are too. From the 17th of August, the Wild Earth team will be venturing out as the dawn chorus begins, as the sunrise safari will be starting half an hour earlier. Lock those times into your diary and set those alarms to make sure you don't miss out on your safari through the African bush.
Guiding as an industry has become, over time, more and more professional and more recognized as a profession rather than just a hobby. And so to be recognized for that professionality is really kind of it's humbling, really, to be able to say that. It's definitely birding is the thing that I feel most comfortable with in terms of categories that we have here. At least comfortable, you never know how you're going to shoot on a particular day. You can have a good day where you blast everything as you need to, in terms of the targets, and then you can have a shocker where you just, miss a single shot here or there, and that's basically the end of your day. To be considered for such an experience is really a powerful thing, and so I'm here just to have a lot of fun and experience what the competition's all about.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially sub-adults and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
So everybody, we're still searching around here, hoping to find anything else. And then we just discovering that there's a few vultures that are sitting on top of these trees around here. So we've done a little bit of off-road to check what can be the reason, because they do actually follow wherever they kill. It's actually white-backed vulture. So every time there's a scavenger around, then it has to be something happened in the area. Something died, something that they already eaten. They're just waiting for a possible worm for them to fly around about, hunt. But it was actually a few, 3, 4 of them that they were seen around here. So they just flew off, some of them. They can rest sometimes when it's cloudy. It's a waste of time of them flying around about hunting or off it goes. So I have off-road already. I'm gonna check around whatever that makes this vulture be around. Probably gonna find out. Even yesterday, we found some of them that they were gathering about in one of the trees, and we discovered that they have finished it. Something so small that we couldn't even tell what it was, but what kills it, we also don't know. So you're asking with the vultures, they only scavenge or do they hunt? Not all of them can hunt. Some they cannot hunt, they all rely on scavenging, but some of them can do a little bit of hunting. But they hardly kill big prey for themselves. They only rely on taking it from the other animal. And they scavenge. Is that maybe they kill it left alone? So they never force themselves into a situation where there's a cat still in the area. They would rather wait enough until the cats move and they respond to the kill. Two tall grasses because there's so many of a falling tree here. Gemma, you're asking, do the vulture make sound? They do make sound. And then the sound is more like a squealing a little bit when you hear it. Especially when they're competing for meat. But also when they're mating as well, so they do make sound. So we've got a few different species of vultures in the area. One white-backed vulture that we just saw flew off. But the biggest one, it's a lipped-faced vulture, which is the bigger one. And then a hooded vulture and white-headed vultures. So they quite a few. Wooded vulture, they're one of the smallest amongst these vulture that I just count. They also have very sharpening beak. So everybody, I'm gonna carry on sit around here. Where it's not easy to see through, but I'm gonna try. In the meantime, let's go across to Trishal at the beach.
We've made our way now to the beach. It's getting a little bit windy, but what else could I expect, right? But the ocean is looking fabulous as always, and you might have seen the little fronds of the kelp sticking out of the water. Always nice to watch them sway. And they're always glistening, looking nice and shiny with that light reflecting off of it from the sun. Again, a result of that mucus that we spoke about a couple days back when we had that dead kelp frond, or that washed up one. They have that mucus around their fronds and their stipe, mostly around their fronds, that help them to sway so easily in the water and not get all tangled up. I know they look a bit like a tangled mass, but when you see them underwater, they're very, very flowy. It's such a good area for so much biodiversity. And some of that biodiversity includes sharks. Smaller sharks, the sharks that we've seen in the kelp so far, things like puff-adder shy sharks, dark shy sharks. We had a spotted cat shark. I think that's it that we've seen so far with little sharks. But speaking of which, I wanted to show you what we found on the beach. So this is a beautiful, so normally we find, okay, let's start with what it is. This is a mermaid's purse, which is essentially just a shark egg, shark capsule. This capsule, you can see, has tendrils down here, and it's quite big. It's probably the size, there we go, of two, what are they even called? Two things of my finger, two sections of my finger. You have 3 sections per finger. Yes, a very technical term here. And it's about the size of 2. So this belongs to a dark shy shark. Oh, we have some friends here. Let's just show you these guys quickly. These are heartlobe gulls. It looks like we've got 2 juveniles and an adult. Wasn't that fun? I love it when you sit in one space for a little bit and then the animals come to you. We had a similar experience with the penguins
that first day that we did them, and they went right past Jandre. It's so nice to just sit quietly for a little bit, as in not moving, because I was still talking. Anyway, back to what we were talking about here, which was this egg case. It's now blowing in the wind, and I wanted to put it up this way because this is how it would be orientated in the water. It's attached to some kind of algae that's obviously dried up and it's not identifiable at this point. We've got a ribbed mussel down here, and we've also got a tiny little barnacle on that mussel. Very cool. Now, this is also exciting because here you've got the mussel, which is a bivalve, so it's a mollusca. Then you've got the barnacle, which is actually a type of crustacean. Then you've got the algae, which is a protist. And then on the top, the egg casing of the dark shy shark, which is an elasmobranch. So the type of fish that you find in the ocean that have a cartilaginous skeleton. Now this case is made out of collagen fibers, and like I said, it's attached to a substrate. This would be attached to maybe a rock, and it allows this case to move freely with the little shy shark developing inside with a bit of yolk. Really interesting stuff. Well, now we're going to go and see what else we can find for you. Maybe even spend a little bit more time with those gulls.
So we were watching this heron for a long time, swimming like a goose on the water surface, which is super weird for them to do. And I've only seen them doing it once before, and that time it caught a fish, and this time it's caught a frog doing it. I wonder if it does it as a way to disguise itself, that I'm not really a heron and I will not eat you, and then when the frog comes close, it can eat it. It does eat it. So right now it's busy dunking the frog in water while simultaneously shaking its head, so it's basically cleaning the frog. The frog probably produces a lot of, and then it's like killing the frog. Once the frog has died, it will no longer produce that slime. It's really interesting. Actually, I've never watched it before. And now I'm really getting a chance to watch it. Oh, and there's a blacksmith lapwing that's turned up, probably also interested in what's going on over there. Oh, it looks like the heron is going to finish soon. Oh, and there it goes. The whole thing gone. Look at that big bulge in its throat. Gabby, they can float in water, which is super interesting to watch because they don't do it often. Which is, as I was saying, it's only the second time I've ever seen one doing it. And in one gulp, it swallowed that whole very big tropical platana. Now it fluffs its body out, feeling very satisfied with itself. Well done. But it's walking back into the water. I almost wonder if it's going to try and do that same swimming again. Let's see. No, it's not really moving very fast now. That was really cool. Yeah, they don't do it often. Last time it caught a very big catfish. And I was actually surprised that it could even fly with the catfish in its mouth. Fantastic. Now it's probably going to go and rest on the side somewhere. Let that frog properly go down before trying again. It's awesome. What an awesome thing to see on such a cold and windy day when you don't really expect much action. Fantastic.
Not the most pleasant thing to view out here in the wild, but it's part of the cycle. This is a young male leopard's kill, female impala, adult. She could have been pregnant, we would have no way of knowing that. And the young male leopard is around, but he's very, very skittish, and sadly another vehicle arrived and just completely made him run. Which is unfortunate, and that's how they hoist their kills. They don't hoist trees. BK's going to go nice and wide for you, and you'll see this impala is really high up on a marula, nestled right into that fork. And they normally, or they do genuinely try to go for the forks because it really keeps their kills stable. And the impala's high. It's really high up. He's done quite some climbing. He's a big boy, almost 2 years old. He's always been big, actually, since he was a cub. And he just, I don't know, he's just not good with the vehicles. But sometimes if you just sit and sit quiet, he might come back. But I think for now, I mean, we have waited about 20 minutes. I think we are just going to slowly bumble away. Try and come back in the afternoon. Doesn't look like there's terribly too much meat left. You can see it's opened and it's really not pleasant, but there'll be a little bit left, but not much. And marulas really are the perfect hoisting trees. It's not always a marula, but from their structure, they really are the most perfect hoisting trees, if you're a leopard. Okay, we're gonna keep bumbling in the direction of home and let our skittish leopard be.
So everybody, we have searched there everywhere, and it's actually very tall grass that for sure is not actually easy. But this vulture, they not actually in the specific trees, they're all scattered all over. So now, since there's nothing there's no sign, we switch off vehicle to see maybe we can hear all chewing or maybe any of the sound, but nothing. So we're gonna check few roads because it happens, vulture, they would confuse you sometimes. If there's a dry trees they would perch on, they can do that, meanwhile their kill is far from there. So I'm gonna try check around this road, and if you can maybe find anything what makes these vulture be around, because usually they don't go wrong, they don't make mistake. Maybe something that died, or even maybe it's finished and I can smell blood around in the area. But for sure they're there for a reason. Terry, you're asking with the lions eat vultures. I've seen it a lot of time, lions kill vulture, leopard kill vultures, but they don't eat them. So, but you know, a hungry lion can. It's not that they're maybe toxic to them, maybe it's that because they also other meat eater as well. So desperately lions maybe would eat vulture, but I haven't seen that. Yeah, vultures sometimes they force themselves into a situation where they may get killed by even maybe hyena when they're competing for a meat, and then that's what happened. When they're hungry, they're out of control. They're actually vicious when you're around them. When you see them feed, they take it for serious. checking for tracks. And I got a feeling maybe whatever it is, it's on the floor, not on top of the tree. Because we looked everywhere on top of these trees, we don't see nothing there. So we're gonna keep on search, see if we can maybe get lucky.
Every year in August, South Africa marks Women's Month. Wild Earth would like to acknowledge and thank all the amazing females who have worked tirelessly to share our nature with the world.
We're gonna have to just wait, okay? She's gonna come out there just on my right-hand side, and she can see these impala.
Now you've got to inhale it. It burns. I don't know if it's supposed to work instantly. Go, girl, go. Get her. Get her, girl. Get her. I'm so looking forward to following her story in the future.
I'm really hoping there's two. I'm really hoping there's two. But you know, even if there's one, oh my goodness, everyone.
And I get to share it with you. Isn't that extra special? I get to experience it and show it to everyone.
Birding has just been a passion of my life since I was knee-high to a grasshopper.
It was quite a big challenge, so...
It didn't go as well as planned. We've got lots of birds, especially the small ones, larks and fireflies.
Because you can get a series of calls that you don't quite get.
Today has all been about the birds from start to finish, and we're now on a barge, a little river cruise in the most beautiful setting, still looking out for birds.
There's really been an amazing vibe amongst the five of us, you know, helping each other out where we can, going through our bird calls when we can. Being in the bush, sound of the birds, cool sunset, you can see the background. So, yeah, it's another world.
Oh, it's going to be in trouble now. Oh, this is unbelievable stuff. Here comes a hippo in too. Go, Impala. There's a hippo coming in. I can't believe what we're seeing here. This is what we normally see in East Africa. It's all over. Hippo leaping at the crocodile now. Everything's gone underwater.
Expect the unexpected here on Wild Earth daily.
Seeing those white lions was really special this morning, but they weren't doing too much. They're full, lying down, and that's where they're going to be the majority of the day. Occasionally they might move back, go feed off a bit of the carcass again, and then go and lie down, but there's not much going to happen. So both myself and Morgan decided maybe before we eventually head back for some breakfast, we just want to see if there's any signs of leopard. So we've actually now driven the river. We've gone onto the northern bank of the river, and we're scanning some of these bigger trees to see if there's any signs, hopefully, of the Nyala female with her youngsters. I mean, that would be ideal. Now, we haven't seen any tracks or any signs yet, but mean, this time of the day being still nice and cool, you can see we have 2 jackets on, a little blankie over the legs to keep everything warm. And so, similar with that leopard, probably going to be hunkered down somewhere in a bit of cover, or if it is moving, it's nice and cool weather to be moving. Now, often if you are looking out for leopard, I mean, one of the main things we try and look out for is movement. Now, sometimes if a leopard's lying down in the grass, you can just see that white at the end of the tail as it's moving the tail. Hopefully we can spot in distance. If they lie down in the grass, it's really hard, especially if the grass is quite tall. However, a lot of the trees near the river at the moment, because of the time of the year, still has some leaves. And so if a leopard makes a kill, it's easier, or it's actually more beneficial to drag it into one of those trees. Because of the cover, then the eagles as well as the vultures can't see it, because as soon as there's more eagles and vultures and a lot of hyenas that move, lions can come and investigate, and that becomes very dangerous for the leopard. So they try and protect that kill and basically hide it away as well as they possibly can. I can see quite a few impalas ahead of us. Now imagine with a leopard, that's also what a leopard would probably be looking out for, something like impala. And so areas like this, you find quite a few impalas in these open patches, and then the combination with the bigger trees along the river. In the meantime, while we're still carrying on searching for this leopard, let's head across to Trichala.
So we're looking now at the vegetation that's behind us, and that's because we had a question from Leopard Lover. Leopard Lover would like to know if we get any snakes in Cozy Bay. I suppose the snakes that we would get in the Western Cape, we could find them in these foresty bits, but not really on the shore side, because there aren't any water snakes in this area. The yellow-bellied water sea snake that we spoke about a couple days back is not really found in this area. Occasionally they have been washed up, but so we wouldn't find any snakes on the shore. Potentially here, but Jean-André's been living in Cape Town, been coming to this place for a long, long time, and he says that he's never seen one. So potentially they could be, but otherwise probably not. Well, Jean-André's all the way up there, and I'm down here, just having a look around to see if I can find any cool things to show us, apart from the gorgeous view, of course, and maybe answer a few questions that you had. Hi, Fernie. You'd like to know if only dogs If only sharks use mermaids' purses? No, not only sharks. So do rays. So all elasmobranchs. Elasmobranchs are those cartilaginous skeletoned animals or fish that we get. So that's sharks, rays, basically sharks and rays. They use mermaid purses. Not all sharks use mermaid purses, but a lot of them do. Generally the smaller ones. And the elasmobranchs, the rays as well. The ray shark mermaid's purse or the egg looks a little bit different. Both ends it kind of have a tail, but not tendrils. It just has like a little edge of a tail, like a little pie almost with pulled ends, if that makes sense. So I'm now stuck in the middle of these boulders, and we're kind of coming to the end of our show here. Now, low tide in that area that Jean-André is pointing towards, there's usually quite a lot of intertidal things that we can talk about, but obviously you can see that the tide is quite high. So we're going to wrap up here, and we're going to send you to Andrew back in Djuma.
Thank you very much, Trishul. Good good luck there in the beach. So we're in a low field, which is far different. This place, it's very woody, grasses are tall, there's no such ocean here. All we got, it's an elephant, still busy feeding about. It's one of the cow here. We've seen young one that was also around here. So also mention that it happens, it could be more because it's too young to be by herself, that young one. So indeed it is more of them. The mummy is there, probably the mummy or auntie, or maybe one of their relative member amongst this herd. They are an impressive animal to watch, and you cannot really get tired of watching the elephants. They all do their best. I know in a colder weather, windy condition, they may not be available just like other animals, because they also still feel cold, just like we do. But maybe less because they have a thick layer of skin. And I don't think it's only that female and her young one, that maybe it's more of them, that they already far into that deep. Maybe it's at the same group that Lauren saw early this morning. Maybe it's a different one, because they move and they're all scattered around when they do that. So everybody, we are coming in the end of the morning show. So we would love to say thank you very much for being part of the show this morning. Until we see you this afternoon again, goodbye.